Welcome back to Coffee with Yvonne, a show for creatives and entrepreneurs. I'm Yvonne Pearson, your host, and darling, the founder. You see how good that sound with nails? The founder of Pink Dollhouse Marketing. And you know what? Finally, Father Time and Mother Nature, they must be working through their issues because it's been a little bit warmer in the DMV recently. Because you know that wind chill. The wind chill can take you out. The wind chill can take you out. But it's been like above 30 degrees. And I know y'all saying, isn't that still winter? Look, we will take what we can get at the moment, okay? But this week on Coffee with Yvonne, we're doing another Marketing Magic episode. And for those of you who are new here, Marketing Magic is when I take campaigns or things that you've seen on your timeline while you're scrolling, and we break down the marketing tactics behind them. And they could be things like beauty, science, tech. Everything has marketing in it. And so that's where I come in to make it simple and easy to understand. Plus, if you see me looking down at my screen, it's because I bring notes to the conversation to make sure we're having an informed and engaged chat. So this week on the show for Marketing Magic Topics, we're chatting all about, from knockoffs to knockdowns, the battle between Shein and Temu, lights, camera, algorithm, the studio built for the AI era, and finally, how Victoria's Secret and the 15% pledge are turning impact into influence. So grab your coffee and let's chat. And to be real with y'all, there's no coffee in this cup. There's no coffee in this cup because at the moment it is checks notes 6:24 in the evening on Sunday fun day when I'm recording a podcast, and I can't have caffeine past a certain time. In fact, I realize I can't have sugar past a certain time because, long story short, I made me some cookies, some little chocolate chip cookies for a little snack right before I went to bed a couple weeks ago, and I was up all night. Okay, in our first story, from knockoffs to knockdowns, the battle between Shein and Temu. So, Shein and Temu, if you did not know, the girlies are fighting. The fast fashion girlies are fighting. Yes, they are. They're fighting currently. I got this from Retail Boss, which is a really great platform, by the way. Pull an excerpt from the source. For decades, the fashion industry's legal battles were primarily about look-alike designs or trademark squabbles. However, the emergence of the ultra-fast fashion model, characterized by hyperspeed supply chains and near-zero margins, have birthed a new kind of legal warfare. In 2025, the rivalry between Shein, the established leader, and Temu, the aggressive challenger, owned by PDD Holdings, escalated into a series of unprecedented lawsuits in U.S. federal courts. This conflict is unique because it attempts to apply RICO, Racketeering, Influence, and Corrupt Organizations Act, a law originally designed to take down the mafia, to the world of retail. It marks a shift from defending products to attacking a competitor's entire business existence. While the public sees a battle over $5 t-shirts, the courtroom sees allegations of racketeering, illegal imprisonment, and industrial sabotage. And to take it back even further, so fast fashion has evolved greatly since I was a teenager. I remember when one of the only options for you to get things very quickly was Forever 21. Forever 21 was a new girly in like the fashion streets. They blew up really big, and I think they declared bankruptcy a couple years ago because their business model, had some issues and things like that. And they were also trying to compete with the new fast fashion, which was Fashion Nova. Fashion Nova, and I know y'all love y'all Fashion Nova, but Fashion Nova was pretty much Rainbow, who went to school, got a degree, and then got a makeover. It was pretty much the same thing, but similar business model, but different marketing tactics, right? Then you had the birth of Shein or Shein. And if you want to know why I call it Shein, just go ahead and look up the lawsuits about Shein. It's not pretty. It's not pretty. But Shein really came onto the market and made even Fashion Nova, it made them compete for their own market share. It also made, Forever 21, even H&M, Zara, all the people who are very popular in the fast fashion space began to have to adjust their own business models to create more lines and crank out more pieces and deliver to the customers even faster. Then Shein got a competitor, Temu, And both of these companies, Shein and Temu, are not US based. They're based in other countries. I believe Shein is based in China or like an Asian country, and Temu is based in that same region. And those two companies have essentially turned the fashion world upside down. They turned the fashion world upside down because they offer low prices. They're not known for their quality. Just to tell you the truth, you buy something from Shein, you'd be lucky if it lasts 2-3 good washes. But it's cheap, it's fast. They have the trends as soon as they hit the runway. And tell the truth, shame the devil, a lot of times when they get in these trends, they're stealing from other designers. And because of things like IP is so difficult to prove in some spaces in the fashion industry, they've been getting away with it. Shein, Temu's been getting away with it, and Fashion Nova. And it's become quite a problem in the fashion industry. And even so, with Shein and Temu have expanded beyond offering clothing, they offer home goods, they offer other things that you can purchase from their platforms. And because they're mainly digital based, even though Shein now has a store in Paris, which is currently struggling in the market, they have essentially taken the idea of fast fashion and even accelerated even further, but also diluted the amount of creativity it takes to create a fashion line that is sustainable, because Shein and Temu have come under fire for less than sustainable practices with, waste and things like that. They've also had a lot of things around labor practices that have come up as an issue. There are a lot of things that have been dinging the bell of this is not fair and equitable practices in the business, but the amount of money that they crank out and also the amount of fast fashion that they crank out, people kind of turn a blind eye to the Sheins and Temus to get something that's stylish, that's affordable, where they could do their hauls on social media and TikTok. So getting to our marketing takeaways. First, let's talk about how rivalry as a narrative fueled by IP disputes. This isn't just a pricing battle, it's now a story about who owns fashion creativity. Shein has been hit with multiple lawsuits, as I mentioned before, accused of systematically copying small designers' work, like I said, selling exact replicas of artwork, embroidered graphics, etc., and fashion pieces, often within days of those products becoming visible online. In addition, Temu has also been accused of selling copies of independent designers' work and counterfeit products and trademark copy violations. Shein's current lawsuit against Temu explicitly alleges that Temu copied Shein. Isn't that the pot calling the kettle black? Okay. Designs, photographs, and even trade secrets, leveling back the same sort of IP claims that they have had leveled against them. Which is kind of ironic, because how you going to tell somebody that they can't copy you, but your whole business model is pretty much about copying somebody else? Like, that's like taking a test in school and you've been cheating on your test for forever. You've been looking over at somebody's paper, getting all the answers. Then you get mad when somebody decides to look at your paper and take the answers. Like, make it make sense, because it doesn't. It doesn't. So thinking about that marketing lesson, when audience sees both sides accusing the other of the same misconduct, it creates a narrative void that competitors and watchdogs can fill. You are starting to see more campaigns about, brands promoting sustainability. You have, for example, Coach. They launched a new program, I think called Coachtopia, in which they take older handbags and they turn them into something new, or they become part of the materials for other products and things like that. You have H&M, which has their sustainable program in which you can bring clothing to the H&M store, drop it off in a bin, and get a discount on your next purchase. DSW does the same thing with shoes. They allow for you to donate shoes to the charity that they partner with, and you get some kind of points in exchange for your drop off. So brands are understanding that people want to see more ethical practices behind the work they do. And also, people are recognizing that fast fashion is very harmful to the environment. It is not just something that's stylish that you put on your body. It is clothes that are ending up on beaches in coasts off of Africa, in different countries in which people are having their livelihoods disrupted by the junk that's put on their beaches because you want a $5 t-shirt, or you bought some, new outfit from TikTok shop. There's different things that go into fast fashion, and the over consumerism behind fast fashion have really amplified the importance of good tailoring, quality fabrics, and also taking care of your clothes and making sure that you're getting all the life out of your garment before you just toss it away or put it inside of a bag for the trash. So let's talk about our next marketing takeaway. Reputation risk is a real brand vulnerability. Both companies become high profile examples of how fast production and low price equals IP risk, and it's been amplified by lawmakers and media. In fact, a U.S. senator recently urged federal investigation into industrial scale IP theft and counterfeits linked both to Shein and Temu, saying nearly half the items tested were likely unauthorized copies of others' work. More so, independent designers and brands aren't just quietly settling. Some are framing the issue as systematic theft and data scraping or algorithm trend monitoring, saying, for example, that Shein and Temu are social listening to these companies to steal their designs. For that marketing lesson, pricing and assortment can get attention, but reputation narratives carry long-term consequences. If consumers start associating a brand with copyright theft rather than value, that is a hard reputation to break, no matter how many campaigns, influencer trips, or giveaways that you do to help change perception in the market. For the final marketing takeaway, consumer perception in the age of fast fashion. Whether or not the courts ultimately resolve the lawsuit in favor of one party or another, independent creators are talking about it. They're posting about it. They're sharing their opinion through reactions and things like that, through long form content in terms of storytelling on these social platforms. For that final marketing takeaway, a marketing lesson, I should say, word of mouth and grassroots creative sentiment can outweigh paid advertising, especially among Gen Z and younger audiences and creator centric audiences as well. Gen Z is very socially aware. They're very aware of how they want to spend their money, where they want their dollars to go, and the companies that they support. And they're not afraid to say how they feel about something. They're seeing the impact on the environment. They're seeing the impact on their pockets more so, because that's a lot of wasteful spending. Okay, in our next story, let's talk lights, camera, algorithm, the studio built for the AI era. I got this from Variety. And to pull an excerpt from the source, Alan McCurva, a real estate developer and the co-creator of Entertainment Television, oh, he got money. The co-creator of Entertainment Television announced today the launch of Filmology Labs, content creation studios. The $250 million complex will be located in Paterson, New Jersey, and will focus on the next-gen content creation like vertical microdramas. And if you don't know what vertical is, it's basically how my hand is right now, vertical, up and down. Digital series, podcasts, oh, hey, Alan, hey, and AI-driven media. To pull a quote from the article, he says that Paterson is one of the most extraordinary cities in New Jersey and a vibrant community. Our goal is to engage local schools to help train young people for their careers in this fast-growing industry while drawing investment into Paterson and showcasing the city to the world. Filmology Labs is about creating opportunity creatively, economically, and culturally. So let's first get into those marketing takeaways, talking about positioning AI as a growth engine. The Filmology Labs launches a signal to pivot in entertainment. The studios are now built for AI generation, not just human-first production. The Film Lab sits at the intersection of two powerful forces: advanced technology, AI, and creative expression. AI is already reshaping how content is being created and distributed. In fact, when you look at things like the Super Bowl commercials, a lot of them were made using AI technology. I have feelings about it, but okay. With industry research suggesting AI could democratize content creation and open up an entirely new forms of storytelling. I have thoughts about that because AI is a great tool. AI can help, but in my opinion, it cannot fully create, and it should be used as a tool, but not leaned on fully, because I do worry that companies are going to lean so heavily into AI, they're going to suck the soul out of creativity. And thinking about that marketing lesson, brands that frame themselves as enablers of AI augmented creativity, not just users of tech, can position their offerings as catalysts in the next creative renaissance. You all the visuals. Renaissance on tour was a time. Man, it was a time. In our next marketing takeaway, let's talk about the expansion of content creation as a professional industry. And again, as much as y'all try to play it, I see y'all all there on TikTok trying to go viral, trying to get some brand deals and all that other stuff. You know, everybody want to be a content creator now, don't y'all? Because y'all seeing, oh, there's actually some coins to be made as a content creator. It is. It is some coins you can make as a content creator. But it doesn't come overnight. It does not. So content creation isn't just like a niche side hustle anymore. It's becoming a highly respected, economically significant creative sector. The broader creator economy that has influencers, digital storytellers, podcasters, and indie filmmakers is showing explosive growth. With new data suggesting North America creator economy in the market alone could reach hundreds of billions in value by the end of the decade. Basically saying, we bring in the money. We bring in the money. We're your new celebrities, right? We're your new people that you look to for like thought leadership. We're your new newscasters. We're your new media arms, all that other stuff. Content creation itself has really grown in terms of what it could mean for people going into different types of careers. Now, I do say this, content creation itself, yes, is a great starting tool, but it shouldn't be the end game. There should always be structure in how you grow as a content creator, because you don't want to end up getting stuck in one area and find yourself either becoming a dinosaur in your industry or missing out on great opportunities because you were afraid to expand. Also, digital creator jobs have skyrocketed over recent years, with reports citing a 7.5 times jump since 2020. That is very interesting too, considering how the Panda Express had us all getting into our content creation bag. I was already in it. This is also showing a shift in how content creation isn't just a hobby anymore. It is actually reputable careers that are actually careers that companies and corporations are looking to fill. They're looking to fill roles of people who have a background in being a content creator, who can produce, podcast episodes, who could bring that expertise into creating like original series, vertical series, like I mentioned before, that live solely on social media, owned content. So owned content in content creation for a business is when you have something no one else has created for you. You created that from your own wheelhouse, your own team, and it lives on either your platform, like your website, or it could live like through YouTube or Instagram or TikTok. But you're building an audience through this own content, but you're also still selling to that audience at the same time, in a way that doesn't feel so obvious to them that they're being sold to. Content creators bring to the table their own ingenuity in the space. They know how to work with these vertical style videos. They know how to create the tight shots that make it engaging and interesting. They know what the trends are. That is a skill a lot of companies are looking for and roles they're looking to fill in the near future. And in every industry, not just entertainment, every industry is now thinking about content creation and how they can leverage it for their strategic goals. So for that marketing lesson, brands that recognize content creation as a legitimate career and industry, not just a tactic, can build deeper long-term partnerships with creators, invest in sustainable creator ecosystems, and tap into audiences that increasingly trust peer-based voices over traditional ads. Up next, let's talk about economic growth and place-based branding power. The location of Filmology Labs being in Paterson, New Jersey, near but distinct from traditional hubs like NYC and LA, carries serious economic and brand implications in a positive way. New Jersey's film and digital media economy is already booming, with hundreds of productions bringing record-setting spending and tens of thousands of jobs. Also, let's talk about the tax breaks. The state's generous tax incentives and growing infrastructure have attracted studios, big and small, leading to a cascade of economic activity, from hosting more productions to boosting local service industries. Basically saying, when you have something like this, it is a ripple effect. And as someone who worked in tourism, I understand a lot more the economic impact that a convention, a concert, or a big business can bring to the area. Something like Filmology, think about the bigger picture. Okay, one, you have to build the studio. So now you need to hire construction workers. Those construction workers may work on the project, depending on the size and scale, for about 2 years. Then you need to also bring in people to install things like lighting, plumbing, all that other stuff. Now you're hiring even more workers or businesses to help support the project. Next, you have to do a hiring fair. So you either work with a, local talent group to find people to fulfill those roles. And then throughout the project, those people had to be fed, they had to be transported to those places, they have to have somewhere to live when the project is going on. One project can create multiple streams of revenue for different areas that will help them further amplify their business. It's not just opening up a new film studio, it's about the long-term effect in a positive way that can have on the community. So for that marketing lesson, geographic narratives matter. A brand or studio rooted in a rising regional hub doesn't just benefit internally, like I mentioned before. It becomes part of that larger economic story about job creation and community revitalization, as well as it makes your messaging richer and more human and far less transactional, because the people who are creating Filmology could then use that for their reports. They could show how this one location has had a positive impact on the community, hiring local, supporting local businesses, building new homes, bringing in people who can help lift the economic status of the area. People love using those stats because it is essentially the groundwork or a benchmark to show that they could do it somewhere else. And then they can use that evidence to then break ground in another location to then have that similar impact. In our next and final story, let's talk about how Victoria's Secret and the 15% pledge are turning impact into influence. So I got this from Afrotech. And Afrotech, to pull an excerpt from the source, they say that the 15% pledge is a brainchild of Aurora James and was launched in 2020 as a nonprofit advocacy organization to hold retailers accountable and to support underfunded and underrepresented Black-owned businesses. Through the partnership, it encourages corporations to dedicate 15% of their purchasing power to such businesses. To date, the 15% pledge has secured commitments from more than 35 corporate partners and helped to redirect nearly $14 billion in revenue to Black-owned businesses, according to its website. Beyond retail accountability, the organization has expanded its impact through additional initiatives, including raising $3 million at its 2025 gala, partnering with Kevin Hart's Heartbeat Ventures and Andreessen Horowitz Cultural Leadership Fund to launch an AI-focused grant for Black founders, and distributing more than $1 million in grants overall. And for those of you who are unfamiliar, like I said in the excerpt, the 15% pledge was started in 2020. It really started as a social campaign, I believe, because Aurora called out the fact that these businesses during the time periods of the protests of, the death of Eric Garner and countless other Black people who were killed by the hands of police. But she noticed that there was an inequity in the corporate space when it comes to Black businesses in terms of them not receiving funding or support. And the 15% pledge was her way of asking corporations, not just asking, telling corporations, you can't say that you support diversity, equity, and inclusion, or inclusion and belonging as it has been rebranded to, and you have no one at your table who represents us. You have no business initiatives or strategies that include incorporating Black or minority-owned businesses into those tactics. Essentially, it was like put up or shut up. And by her doing that and redirecting that money, while 15% doesn't seem like a large amount, it has an impact. 15% is just giving us a piece of that slice of pie that we, a lot of times as creators, as founders, as business owners, don't have access to because we're not included in the conversation, or that money is directed to other resources that is more considered traditional or that they feel more comfortable with. So let's get into those marketing takeaways. Let's first talk about narrative control through shared values. This collaboration allows both for Victoria's Secret and the 15% pledge to co-anchor their brand identities around equity, opportunity, and innovation. Victoria's Secret has historically faced challenges around representation. This accelerator helps to rewrite that narrative by championing the next generation of diverse fashion founders, aligning past legacy with future direction. The partnership also demonstrates action rather than rhetoric. helping both organizations control the narrative and communicate authentic social impact in a crowded, skeptic media landscape. For that marketing lesson, value-aligned partnerships can reset brand perception and unlock a new audience, not just by showing, not just telling, but really leaning into your commitments. And that next marketing takeaway, let's talk about accelerator programs create future business opportunities. Traditional marketing often focuses on acquisition and retention. This partnership invites brands to invest in entire ecosystems of creators and entrepreneurs. By embedding itself in founders' early growth phases through workshops, mentorships, funding rounds, Victoria's Secret creates lifelong affinity. Founders may later want to collaborate when they're coming out with like a new brand or like a spinoff of their key brand, like if they have a shoe and they want to go into like, sportswear or something like that. And they may want to work with Victoria's Secret because they supported them at the beginning. This shift also knows the brand from being a seller of products to a partner in growth, which is especially powerful in a world where entrepreneurial identities increasingly intersect with consumers' choices. For that marketing lesson, it lets us know that brands can co-create value with their audiences, rather than simply marketing to them to forge more meaningful and enduring relationships. And in that final marketing takeaway, let's talk about how this drives economic growth to build local and category impact. The program just doesn't feel good. It has measurable economic potential that matters to stakeholders. The 15% pledge movement has helped to redirect billions in sales and supports hundreds of founders. This equates to real value and shifts in potentially long-term economic empowerment across underserved communities. As participating brands grow, they hire employees, they scale operations, and stimulate their local economies. This creates a virtuous cycle of growth that reflects well on the accelerator partners who supported them from the beginning. In that final marketing lesson, economic storytelling, or showing how your brand helped to generate dollars for others, resonates strongly with social consciousness, audiences, and elevates business narratives beyond product features. Okay, I hope you enjoyed today's chat. Don't forget to follow Coffee with Yvonne on Threads and Instagram at Coffee with Yvonne. You can also learn more about me and my business by going to pinkdollhousemarketing.com. Or you can find me on Instagram at Pink Dollhouse Marketing. You can slide into my DMs. That's cool. And where you want to see me cut up, be my true self, unfiltered and unbothered, you can find me on TikTok, aka the Clock app, and Instagram at Yvonne_creative marketer. Oh, and I do need to let you know this. I don't know if I mentioned this at the beginning of the episode. We will be going on a spring break hiatus starting in the beginning of March through April. I have some work travel coming up, but I will not leave you hanging. You'll have Coffee to Go episodes every week, in which we will revisit the episodes from Coffee with Yvonne's archive. We have an archive, y'all! Until I return from my spring break hiatus. And I know I say this to you creatives every single week, but remember to keep showing up, keep creating, and that your voice matters. I cannot wait to chat with you on another episode of Coffee with Yvonne. Okay, bye! It really is better with nails. It really is. Coffee with Yvonne is produced and edited by Yvonne Pearson. Coffee with Yvonne is created by Pink Dollhouse Marketing. You can catch the latest episodes by subscribing to Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.